perking up into a grin. Zhuo Yifan picked up on her intent. Young Miss had to be thinking he was insane. Yet she still did not want him to die. As they were speaking, she was looking for a chance to hide him behind the guards. What are you waiting for? Get him over here before he humiliates us further. Luo Yunchang shouted at the guards. Before anyone even moved, a bloody blade rested on Zhuo Yifan's neck. Wait, steward's son snickered, his eyes piercing through Luo Yunchang's as he had figured out her plan. He. Young Miss is as kind as ever. Wanting to save even a mentally unstable servant. Luo Yunchang raged. Steward's son, you won't let even the demented live? HHHA. Right back at you. If you don't want the innocent to die, take out the returning dragon palm. We don't care if our blades get slick with the blood of one more man. With that, the bandit brushed the edge along Zhuo Yifan's face and sported a bloodthirsty grin. Luo Yunchang pursed her lips. Hesitation visible in her eyes. Yet still decided to close them. Zhuo Yifan understood, although the young miss had no plan to save him by taking the martial art out. As his mistress, it filled him with gratitude just from hesitating. But in the end, it would come down to him if he could save himself. Taking a look back at the bandit, he found a fat man of the same height at 7th layer of foundation establishment. It should be doable. Zhuo Yifan clenched his fist and gathered yuan qi in his left. Eyes flashing with ruthlessness. Humph, since you're so stubborn, Zhuo Yifan will be the first to die because of you. Steward's son's hand dropped, staring at Luo Yunchang's pain-filled eyes. Fatty, kill him, he grinned, and raised the blade way up high. It was then that a thump echoed out, soon followed by bone snapping along with the fat man's wails. His blade had long ago slipped from his hand. Zhuo Yifan picked it up and decapitated the man. Blood spurted and a large head trailed the air. Zhuo Yifan was only in the 5th layer of foundation establishment. Yet his yuan qi was something only a qi condensation expert would possess. In a moment of the fat man's ignorance, he elbowed his chest and snapped his ribcage. He followed with a swing of the sword in one smooth motion. None could even react as the fat man's head flew from his shoulder. Plop! The bloody head rolled around and stopped right before steward's son. He looked dumbly at the familiar face. Incredulous of the outcome, he saw Zhuo Yifan grow up in the Luo clan and knew the kind of person he was. He was honest to a fault. A slave begging to be picked on. Yet this sheep bared its fangs like a tiger, killing a 7th layer foundation establishment expert in one strike. It was done with such brutality that it even shook the bandits. The guards on Luo clan's side were even more devastated. Was he the same man they used to laugh with? The same honest-to-God Zhuo Yifan? Leaving the kill aside, his quick and brutal act was something not even the captain of the guards could match. Every single one of them stood in shock, watching dumbly as blood dripped down Zhuo Yifan's blade, to the point they forgot even to breathe. If Zhuo Yifan didn't take this chance to leave, he'd never get another. Zhuo Yifan's eyes squinted, pressed his advantage and threw the bloody saber at steward's son, all the while running for young miss and young master. By the time the saber arrived, he was already before Luo Yunchang. One hand held Luo Yunhai while the other grabbed her, running like hell deeper into the forest. Luo Yunchang was still in a daze, letting him pull her. Steward's son saw the target slipping away again and panicked. After them, but the captain and his guards were there to block them. Humph, think you can stop us? Steward's son said with cruelty. The captain smiled and shook his head. No, but we can buy them some time for them to get away. He. With you dead, you still think they can escape? Taking one last look in their direction, the captain nodded. If it was before, perhaps no, but they have that boy. The guards nodded, with their trust in Zhuo Yifan beginning to grow in their hearts. They might not know why Zhuo Yifan was so bold all of a sudden. But with him next to the young miss and young master, their chances of survival were high. Gnashing his teeth, steward's son looked darkly beyond them. That brat dares to meddle in my affairs. Once I get my hands on him, I will flay him. I'll make him wish for death. Zhuo Yifan carried Luo Yunhai in one hand while the other pulled the tender arm of Luo Yunchang in his mad dash, leaving behind the cries and wails of the guards at their backs. Wait, we can't just leave them. Luo Yunchang recovered after a while and said anxiously. Zhou Fan kept going without paying her any heed. Let go. Luo Yunchang saw him disobeying her and threw his hand off. Zhou Fan stopped and stared her down. We need to go back. We can't let the guards throw their life away for us. Can you beat them? Said Zhou Fan. Luo Yunchang sighed with a frown. The others are bad enough. But they have Steward Sun in the 6th layer of qi condensation while I am only in the 3rd layer and the captain in the 4th. Even if we join forces, we are still no match for him. What's the point of returning then? Let's go. Zhou Fan snorted and grabbed her again to dash. It was now that the child in his other hand squirmed. Stinky slave, how dare you talk back to your master? Apologize to my sister and I won't let you but blossom in pain. Zhou Fan looked in a daze. The pup bearing his fangs in his arm then looked at Luo Yunchang. The young miss was angry, recalling he was but a mere servant of the Luo clan. Only now did his disrespectful words sink in. But so what? He wasn't the real Zhou Fan anyway. Moreover, they weren't exactly the same revered Luo clan either. Your family is on the brink of being exterminated, yet you have time to nitpick? If not for the heart demon, the majestic demonic emperor would have never even minded your trifling matters. Brat, think I won't make your butt blossom? Zhou Fan stared at Luo Yunhai. You dare, slave. Luo Yunhai glared back without fear. He grew up in the manor and knew of the gap in their status. How could he ever come to fear a servant's threat? Such a pity the one before him wasn't Luo clan's servant. With a grin, Zhou Fan bent him over the knee, pulled his pants and slapped like no tomorrow. The sonorous slaps rang in their ears, striking Luo Yunhai and Luo Yunchang dumb. They never dreamed of this ever happening. A servant daring to slap a master's bum. To the point even the bratty Luo Yunhai forgot about the pain. But he soon got a taste of the scorching sting on his rear. Impudent! Luo Yunchang cried in alarm, wrestling her brother from him and into her embrace. Zhou Fan, you dare raise your hand against your master? Luo Yunchang was known in the clan for her gentle nature and warm and refined demeanor. A girl from a wealthy family that never got angry. But Zhou Fan's act took the cake and made the rage inside her burn like never before. Zhou Fan avoided her eyes as he sneered, not as daring as young miss. To the point of wasting time berating others while the enemy is just around the corner. The noise behind them was getting weaker. Zhou Fan and Luo Yunchang were clear the guards couldn't hold on much longer. I only slapped him a few times. But if you do not run, those men will soon take his life. Zhou Fan pointed at Luo Yunhai. Luo Yunhai was still angry, but Zhou Fan's words struck close to home. Her brother was the only male left in the clan. She could sacrifice herself, but nothing must happen to him. After some thought, she became serious. Zhou Fan, take young master and leave while I stall them. I refuse, blurted Zhou Fan. If you dare leave, I will kill this brat. She was at a loss for words. Never would she have imagined her clan would house such an arrogant and impudent servant that would dare threaten their master. I've lived in the Luo clan for all my life and do not know the surrounding. If you leave, me and the brat won't make it. Zhou Fan continued. Luo Yunchang nodded in silence, her anger cooling. It made sense, but the next words flamed her anger to new heights. Staring daggers at him. It won't mean much even if you die. But try not to take me down with you. Luo Yunchang turned green, but held it in. He ignored the pair and turned to walk. Is there any place nearby where we can hide? Snorting, Luo Yunchang glared at him while ignoring the insufferable servant. But she was a young miss after all, and even though her anger never waned, she still knew to look past it in this dangerous situation. There's only farmland around us for 100 miles, and only the west face of the Blackwind Mountain is the only place few people venture in. It is a forest covered in fog that not even the mountain bandits know in detail. Then, that's where we'll go. Zhou Fan nodded. Carry your brother and lead the way. She snorted and walked forward without sparing him another look. Just how could she stumble upon such bad luck? Where the two siblings were now accompanied by an arrogant and rotten slave. She was in front and he was in the back. It was as if the master-servant roles were reversed. Never had the siblings suffered such humiliation. Just you wait. Once we get out of this, I will put you in your place, thought Luo Yunchang in anger. 4 hours later, they found them before a fog-wreathed forest. Zhou Fan's eyes flashed each time they roamed over the trees swallowed by the mist. This is misty forest, covered in fog year-round. Any who enters will find it hard to come out. Luo Yunchang hesitated. We might lose them there, but we might also get lost for all eternity. Zhou Fan didn't pay her much heed, inspecting the area, especially the mountain in the east, which was surrounded by clouds. Is that Blackwind Mountain? Luo Yunchang nodded. My dad said Blackwind Mountain's mountain lord has great power. No less than his. Our clans have been fine for decades yet. For some reason, their bandits attacked out manor. He. Good place. Zhou Fan rubbed his chin, showing heartfelt admiration. Azure dragon in the east. White tiger in the west. Vermilion bird in the south. Black tortoise in the north. And Helin's horn in the center. Breaking the sky. This is a natural array. Zhou Fan mumbled. Such a pity. No one knowledgeable discovered it. Now that I'm here, I'll make this place my second Devil Mountain. Zhou Fan's eyes flashed with joy. He was clear of this mountain's value. If this was sacred domain, only a saint could grab hold of such a place. Young miss, want to kill Steward's son and the rest here? Zhou Fan turned his head. Luo Yunchang was startled. They only numbered 3 while a strong party was hunting them down and they had hardly enough time to escape. Just how were they going to destroy them? Luo Yunhai snorted and smiled wryly at Zhou Fan. Stinky slave, stop bragging. Is your butt itchy again? Zhou Fan's glare stuck Luo Yunhai's words in his throat. That round of slapping to his rear told him this servant couldn't care less for this young master. Humph, a wise man knows when to retreat. Once I get home, I'll see how tough you are, he mumbled on his sister's shoulder, with her brother in her arms and to avoid the vile servant's wrath. Luo Yunchang asked in doubt. How? With a light smile, Zhou Fan extended his arm. Young miss, how many spirit stones do you have? Please give them all to me. What do you need them for? Luo Yunchang watched him with a vigilant eye. HHHA, young miss misunderstands. I'm not trying to take advantage of a declined clan and turn into an evil servant that robs it. All my actions are for your safety. Humph, still consider yourself a loyal servant? The way I see it, there's not a viler servant out there who can outmatch you. Luo Yunchang rubbed her pitiful brother's butt, as she thought that, but still gave him her ring. This is all my wealth. If you dare lie to me, I will never forgive you. Zhou Fan took it with a smile and sank in the mist. Wait for me here. Humph, this servant is too outrageous. He even dares to order his master. Sister, you need to punish him for me. Luo Yunhai raved once the servant was gone. She shook her head and looked at the roaming mist. Yunhai, he might be rude, but he's always helping us. Much better than those strong hypocrites. We can't reward kindness with enmity. Luo Yunhai thought for a moment then nodded. Yes, it's all that damned steward's son's fault. Luo Yunchang was pleased and praised him. Yunhai, you're growing up. But then he hissed through his teeth. As for that stinky slave, he should be spanked like no tomorrow. Killing him is too easy for him. Luo Yunchang was silent. Zhou Fan walked among the white fog, his deep eyes taking in his surroundings. From time to time, his hand flashed and a spirit stone flew out from the ring and disappeared into the ground. Despite it being his first time here, he was remarkably familiar with its layout. His path never once was disturbed by the fog. In but a quarter of an hour, he traveled across the entire forest. 9 underworld gates open, 4 cardinal wraith array activate. His hands made signs with lightning speed, while he spoke the incantation from the 9 Serenities' secret records. The wind shifted and the sky darkened. With wails, gray shadows fell from the sky and hid in the misty forest. The fog reddened, then blackened, the same color as the sky. Constant shrieks came out. The siblings held closer to each other, shaking in fear while taking steps back for some semblance of comfort. Yet the wails and shrieks stopped as soon as they started while the sky cleared up and even the sun peeked through the clouds. Misty forest's fog dissipated and revealed a gasping Zhou Fan walking over. What just happened? What did you do? Luo Yunchang watched him with bewilderment. He only waved and entered the forest. Follow me. Luo Yunchang was suspicious. However, she led her brother behind. Zhou Fan had a mysterious appearance that made the two not voice their doubts. When they arrived at an ancient tree, Zhou Fan said, "Stay below this tree for now. I will teach you how to control the Wraith Array, and when Steward's son comes, you can use it to kill them." "What? This is an array?" Luo Yunchang was stunned. Arrays were even more precious than martial arts in this world. No sect would ever dare release even a normal array to outside. Even if the auction had a first-grade array, it would still sell for hundreds of thousands spirit stones. They were rare and in high demand. If their Cloud Manor had a protective array, they would have never sunk so low from mere bandits. Yet, at this very moment, a mere servant casually set up an array. It was impossible that this feat would result in the young miss being shocked silly.